Exactly.
Nice.
All right. So we've got another question, and it's a doozy. So
Okay.
gird your loins, my friend. So, as a lifelong Trek athlete, what were your thoughts on the news surrounding the company during the 2020 social justice movement?
Yeah, that was that was kind of tricky. It's I'm choosing my words carefully. It was definitely I was definitely felt like I was at the focal point in my community a little bit, and some other people being a Trek rider and seeing their response and how other people interpret their responses. I definitely, I had to really think about how I was representing my sponsors, how I was reflecting, how they were reflecting. I think, yeah, it was definitely difficult to see and think about how different companies were responding across all industries and Trek's response versus others. It was difficult to have to reflect on that, and for me to say, oh, they should have done this, they should have done that, is not something I want to do. Oh, they could have done more, they could have done less. Yeah, it's definitely a part of the sport now.
Yeah,
I think
that's what that's what I want to drive at.
Having a greater social responsibility.
You've seen the brand that you've been engaged with respond in a way, and your assessment of that can be one thing, but do you think seeing their response and things such as Teo doing, I don't even know how to say his last name, Gahegan, I'm assuming,
yeah,
like it's a wild Welsh name or something, I can't possibly pronounce it, but like him taking a different stance, do you feel like those things have influenced you to look at your space and the place that you hold? Like you just said, the industry, this is part of the industry now.
Yeah, I think it should be. Social responsibility is part of every company, or at least should be. I like Patagonia, for example. I like Patagonia because they have an extremely explicit stance on social responsibility, environmental sustainability, things like that. And I think, it definitely inspired me, or, at least instigated me to think about how I represent myself and others. And, I have the platform I have, and, what can I do with that? Besides be self-serving and promote myself, maybe. And it's difficult to, because I'm not Yolanda Neff or somebody else who has hundreds of thousands of followers.
Right.
Like if I get up on a soapbox and start doing this or whatever, saying this about whatever, any topic, it's like, it's kind of an awkward point of, I have some exposure, but I'm not actually that much exposure. So like, I'm not a superstar, but I'm also, I am a normal person. And, how do you, convey yourself in a way that is, not preachy, but also realistic, I guess.
Well, and you're also you're also not part of the myriad groups of people who have been othered. I mean, you just like Doug and I, you look
yes,
like
John.
the bike industry.
Yeah.
And this is something that we've like consistently wrestled with the show as well. Is like, man, this, like, of course, it's two white dudes talking about bikes, and how do you use that platform for good? So, I guess one of my questions is, did you receive, because you were a Trek athlete, did you receive any sort of negative input via whatever social feed coming in, just because you were riding Trek products?
Personally, no. I definitely didn't have anybody, comment like, "Oh, you're repping this brand," no, or DM, something like that.
That's nice. That's at least nice.
Yeah, but it's definitely some people and friends I talked to, about how Trek was responding and like, what we were thinking about it and how things could be done better or worse or whatever. Definitely conversations that were had, and self-reflections that were had on what's happening and how I'm a part of that. But yeah, no, there was definitely no, I guess, no hate mail or flack towards me for being a Trek rider. And I think the other thing is I definitely saw people and racers who unaligned themselves from Trek because of that. And the reality of that for me was like, I'm on a team, I'm on a contract. That is not something I get to do. I'm legally bound. I still stand by that company. And it's not a choice that I have to just up and sell all my gear or something like that because of something that has happened in that way. Yeah. I'm trying to tread very lightly here, but
that's good though. I mean, I think that's making a solid point that you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater in this sense when you are so endemically tied to a specific brand.
Exactly.
So
I was just gonna say the other thing is like I'm also not in a position of boundless cash and sponsorship opportunities, and I'm not. It's not like, oh, I'll just switch to this brand or I'll do this instead. Like it's I'm a bike racer with a contract. Think Phil Guyman's pro cycling on $10 a day.
Right.
It's a struggle, but it's a good struggle, and there's a reality of it that just pitching these shoes out the door because I didn't like what they did or something like that is not a luxury that semi-professional athletes such as myself have.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting balancing point because, I hear you talking about how you are doing self-reflection in that space and thinking about what that means. And I am hoping that anyone who's in your kind of position, who's on a contract and in that space, is able to provide feedback back up the loop, right? Instead of it just coming down and, raining upon you, the decisions of the manufacturer that, you're in a contract with. And I think that feedback loop is what really needs to happen so that brands are listening to the people that represent them in that space and saying, oh, okay, well, like our athletes are saying, here's why we have X concern, right? And that creates that sort of feedback loop. So that's a thing that you want to hope to see, because you're doing the work for yourself and assessing that space. And I hope that they're listening to their athletes in that area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Then those conversations that are being had are important. And seeing those conversations from people I know personally and how they're trying to work. And it's kind of like any governing body, be it Specialized, Track, USAC,
sure.
One way to put it is no matter what is said or done, they're always wrong. Even if they're right in some parts,
sure. Reference last week's conversation with Rob DiMartini, right? Like, we love Rob, he's a good dude, but like everyone's got a bone to pick. So
yeah, exactly. Same with COVID regulations or whatever else, the NFL, like no matter what's done, somebody is not going to be happy. And, very often there's totally valid reasons. It's definitely one of those situations where it's really hard to know exactly what the right thing to do is.
I appreciate that honesty
ethically, morally, financially for a company like that. Or any other company, how do you balance when you're being pulled in so many different directions? How do you find that sweet spot? Because if you are in the middle of that and answering some of everybody's needs, you're still not going to be far enough into anybody's corner.
Yeah, I appreciate you answering that question. I appreciate you answering that question because it's not an easy one to answer, and definitely a hard one from the pebbles out in the world. So I know we've got
no worries.
We got one more question, John, that we want to put a good one.
even with all of your successes on the bike, knowing that you just graduated in 2020, was there any part of you that was ever scared jumping into professional bike racing and putting a 9 to 5 career on hold?
Yes and no. For sure, earlier in college, there's this naivety. I'll go with that. Of how I was going to actually make money doing this a little bit. But on the other side of that coin, Joe Maloney, my original coach, from the age of 17, said to me, and we talked about this, all right, well, you're really good. You might be even better, for what you're doing now. But the odds that you are ever going to be paid a straight salary with a contract alone to race your bike, they're slim, no matter how good you are. So you need to figure out how you're going to make money doing this. And I was fortunate that he started mentoring me and coaching as a way to help support myself. And as I grew through college and beyond, COVID definitely threw a wrench in everything. But at the same time, doors closed, others doors opened, and I became more adept at how to be an ambassador of my sponsors, of the sport, and everything else without racing, and negotiating sponsorships and everything else, and contracts, and growing the coaching business and everything else to the point where I was confident to graduate and know that I could do this, and make money, and not be totally out of luck without a 9 to 5. Definitely took a lot of help from a lot of people, and yeah, definitely intimidating. But I think my transition as I went through college and the reality of it, and understanding how difficult it would be, and finding a way to make other plans to be prepared, put me in the spot I am now, where I am able to be self-sufficient and supported on the bike, off the bike, not eating rice and beans only and veggies, and like,
Yeah,
I could be worse off.
Eyes open, right? Eyes open.
Yeah.
And I think that's an interesting way to I don't feel like there's any other way to enter the sport as a professional that has done it as long as you have.
Yeah. I think, at this point, what are if you read in a textbook, the odds of being a professional athlete are 1 in a million or something if you're going to the NFL or something like that. And the reality of it is that every kid out there who says, I want to be a professional cyclist, you either need to be the best of the best to be getting a full-fledged contract at this current juncture in USA cycling, with the industry. 20 years ago, if I was racing mountain bikes in the late 90s doing Norba, I'd be making bank. That's the reality of it. As a 21-year-old, mid to upper level USA pro guy, like, I'd be on a factory team with a factory contract and a salary, like, but the industry is different. It's just different. And I try not to worry about that, because the past is the past, and I'm obviously not in the 90s.
Well, that'll give you massive amounts of heartburn, Caleb. Don't think about that. Like, that's not a thing. Like, that's not the landscape. You can't just wave a wand. And trust me, the 90s, not that awesome for others.
But I think that speaks a lot to the people that, whether you sought them out or they sought you out because they saw potential in you, or vice versa. Because those are the people that give you that perspective to help you see beyond kind of what's in front of your own nose. Because, let's be real. Like, none of us at 16, 17, 18 were, even the most worldly of us was not super worldly to be able to make rational decisions like that of like,
Yeah.
no, I have plan A, I have plan A1, I have plan B, and I have plan C, all the way down the alphabet, just in case
I'm like
all
a
of
playing
these.
Q. I'm
Yeah,
like a playing Q
like
already.
just in case all of these things fall through, I have safety nets on top of safety nets on top of safety nets, because I've got really smart people around me that have helped give me that perspective.
Exactly. And I think, one side of that was definitely the emphasis I've always had from my parents and family on education. And even sponsors and other people, it's like, all right, well, no matter what you do on your bike, you're going to get a degree. You need to get a degree. Because, well, you don't have to get a degree. Nobody has to. There's many options. But, once I committed to collegiate cycling and everything else, like, what happens on the bike, you need to earn your degree. You'll always have that to fall back on. And, definitely, we're not trying to be dream crushers here. Everybody wants to be a pro cyclist. But the reality of it is you need to think about how you're really going to do it. For every kid out there, or 20-year-old, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, you either need to be the best of the best, or you need to be smart and work hard and be creative, and get a lot of help too, and foster those relationships with friends, families, coaches, mentors. I've a lot of people have helped me get where I am today. I've had a lot of people to look up to. Brian Motter, my current coach, he raced his first world championship in Australia, same place I did when he was 18, just like I did in 96. So then 21 years later, he was helping me prepare to go race my first world championship in Australia on the same course. Like,
Did he break a heart rate
No.
strap?
I don't know if they had heart rate straps yet then,
No,
to be honest. I don't even
I
know
don't
what
think they did. I don't remember those in
Watches?
'96.
they had. Those like old sporty watches that kind of
Yeah,
recorded stuff, maybe.
maybe
Yeah,
like a sextant and some other an astrolabe and things to try to record how fast you were going. Yeah, it was a different time.
exactly.
Oh.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, it's awesome to have all
So,
those people in your corner, and I think if anything we've talked about tonight is like about the way that the community always takes care of us, and
Yeah.
we're all so lucky to have that kind of place. So
Mhm.
it is awesome that is part of the through line throughout this.
Yeah, it really is. And it's an individual sport, but it's really not, particularly collegiate cycling where you're literally on a team. But that's one message that Brian has always helped me with in recent years, especially, everybody that you can add to your corner who has your back, my coach, my strength coach, team director, national team coaches, friends, family, my sister Emma, my girlfriend, you name it, my dogs, like everybody that is helping cover one of my bases that I need to check off and helping with one aspect of the sport is just what enables myself and other people who are doing, you ask any athlete at any level who's doing well or trying to do well or has big goals or has accomplished things. I'm not trying to make myself sound to be best ever here. And just anybody who's accomplished in any way has a lot of people watching their back and helping them. That's the bottom line, and that you really want to, you can extend that web out borderline infinitely. So
yeah, John will always be the person who will tell you that like this is what's been missing from cycling, right? Is the Ricky Bobby interview right after you get your win, right? Like, man, I'd like to thank the Sunoco Cadillac for this beautiful win.
I do like that you just said that's the bottom line. That like tickled my WWE a little bit there.
I know it did.
Yeah.
Stone Cold Caleb Swartz.
This is new name. It's his new name from now on.
There we go.
From now, this is now we'll make bumper stickers and everything. It'll be perfect. So.
Awesome.
Well, dude, thank you so much for joining us. This has been fantastic. It's been great getting to spend some time getting to know you, and for all the pebbles to get to know you. We really appreciate you taking the time out to spend time with us.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. It's been a pleasure. There's been some great questions and great conversations, and it was awesome to dive into into this stuff, and it's fun to reflect personally and to share, share what I've been through and what I've done and how I can hopefully help others. And like you said, give back and inspire others to have fun and pursue their dreams, no matter what they are.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Caleb. Pebbles, that is all for this week. So be sure to subscribe, follow, and engage, because as you know, decisions and trails are made by those who show up. So if we don't see you on the trails this week, we will see you next time. Bye, John.
Bye, Doug.